Greetings from the library cavern. I am Aspen Dracaena, your friendly neighborhood Ice Dragon Bookwyrm VTuber. And oh my goodness, what a day. And it looks like there's something going on with the game properties. Hang on. Properties. Okay. Because I'm actually not hearing my, let's see. Oh no, there it goes, Okay. Alright. I was a little worried that I lost the music there. So it's been a day. Honestly, I feel like there have been some things that have been going in my life that are great. Panda and I went to the jeweler to look at potential rings, and we may be almost there with the rings for the wedding ceremony. I think we're both pretty happy with what we're looking for, so I'm really excited about that. And we may get something much less expensive than we thought we'd have to pay, which is fantastic, because in a day and age like this, who needs to spend loads of money? But yeah, so it's been this morning I got a message from a friend who I'm working on a project with, and he is doing very poorly mental health wise, and so I kind of had to make some decisions and reach out to a friend or two to try to see how I can support him, because he's really struggling. So that was one of my big things. I used to in the past, hi LT, how you doing? I used to in the past, as I was mentioning with Foxy in the chat, in the past I would have tried to take on everything to help this friend, and I realized, don't do that. This person has other friends as well. I can reach out to them. We can all help and not overwhelm ourselves, rather than just me helping and getting overwhelmed myself. So, good lesson. Do not feel obligated to be the only person helping someone. If you know there are other people around who will help that person and pitch in, it makes it so much easier for everybody. Then you're not wearing yourselves out. You know, you're taking good care of yourself while you're still helping the person without being like, So that's really important. I've also been getting one of my mom's bills in the mail. I live like a several hour drive away from her now. I should not be getting her bills, and for some reason this one company thinks I am the owner of the account, and I'm not. It's my mom, but somehow it got under my name instead. So I had to call her and explain what was going on and be like, Mom, I can't be responsible for this. This is your responsibility. You have to take care of it. And she did. She actually did a really good job. She handled it right away. I'm really proud of her. So there's been stress today, but I feel like I have some solutions. So that's good. Plus a potential awesome wedding ring for each me and for Panda. So. That's great. Yes, win. Grandma win. Yes. She is a winner. You know, she's still struggling a lot with her memory, but I gotta say, she's doing pretty well, and she's really working hard. So anyway, let's get this game started. It's been a while, and now I'm wondering what I am digging to see, because oh boy, this is something over here. And I can't remember everything. So it looks like we have our hole. We have things to dig. Okay. Let's see. Alright, let's go down here. Why do we have weird little random particles? Okay. So, after, yeah, it's a very big hole. After hearing that there is something weird to this game, I am very curious. What the heck is it? What is going on? What am I digging? Where am I going? It looks like there's these tunnels for gigantic worms now, so I would like to know the truth. What am I digging for? What is going on here? Let's see. No, it doesn't want me to. Nah. Oh, it's dark down here. Oh, it's very dark down here. I feel like I need to... Oh, what am I digging? I don't know. Okay. Alright, so, do you think we can make it... Oh, what's this? Is that shiny? Silver! Ooh. You know what? Maybe I can mine all of the materials I need for my wedding ring. Here, hang on a second. Uppies, I'll do uppies. Hang on. Uppies. There we go. Yes, so, okay. What's going on down here? Alright, can I walk up that? No, I end up in another tunnel. Oh, crap. Okay. Okay, I think I need to go up for a second. There we go. Alright. Okay. Okay, so I can get out of there. That's a good thing. Alright. So, let's see. I'm trying to remember how I did this. Okay, so save game. Yes. Alright. Here is where I buy stuff and sell stuff. Okay. Alright, so I've got 248. And here, oh, I can do the upgrades here. So, my battery's good. Health is okay. Dynamite. Oh, jeez. Okay. So, if I want to upgrade, I'm going to need to make a lot more money. Alright, okay. Broke my ankle. Just a tiny bit. Can you eat the silver? Yes. I'll just, yeah. You know what? Perfect. I am going to make a more gradual downward slope. There. Okay. Oof. We're going down. Okay. Alright, let's see. Woohoo! That's more silver! What is this? It's big. Oh no. What is this? What is this? Oh, I hope it's not something bad. It's huge though. Oh my gosh, is this an alien ship? I love how you just poke at the ground and it shovels out the dirt. As if only really shoveling was like that, like for snow. Perfect. Yes, I agree. Oh my gosh. What is this? What am I digging up? Okay. What is this? What are you? Oh my gosh, it keeps going. How big is this thing? Oh my gosh, have I found the skeleton of Cthulhu or something? And there's all this silver here too. Oh my gosh. This better end with the Great Cthulhu or else I'm gonna feel cheated. Yeah. Here, let's see. Yeah, we probably need more light. I can... Okay, let's go back up. There we go. Let's widen this hole a little bit. Okay. We'll get more light if I make the hole wider. And we'll get more Cthulhu if I make the hole bigger for him to come out of. Or them, I'm not judging. Cthulhu may not have a gender, that's okay. So, yeah, just before stream, Cthulhu lives in the ocean? I don't know. That's actually a good question. Where does Cthulhu live? Maybe, I thought Cthulhu lived in space. Hey, Digi! It's actually good you showed up, because I was just about to bring up Stranger Things, and I know you've been watching it. Or that you finished. I am on season 4, episode 4. And, Cthulhu is a god from another realm and water tends to be his base. Ah, got it. So, I just watched the, like, you know, the episode that people got all excited about, that Kate Bush song. The one where with, oh, my inventory is full. Okay. Let's go back up. Okay. So, let's sell some stuff. So yeah, I watched that episode. First of all, running up the hill is a fantastic song. If you don't know it, you should listen to it. Although they did play it on the radio last summer, like ad nauseum. Some songs are classic for a reason. And I think Kate Bush has always known how to write a really interesting song. And it was very well used in that episode. But the season 4 has been very interesting because it feels like it's a little different from the other seasons. In the other seasons, they're like dealing with, you know, monsters that are barely even human, and they don't, you know, they aren't intelligent. And season 4 is when you get Vecna, and this is an intelligent creature. And, you know, it's a lot of it is really quite interesting because, you know, they're not just facing some unintelligent threat. So, I kind of like this season a little better. I'm so glad they brought Robin on the show because she is so fun. I love her character. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna walk up See if this will shed some more light on this thing. Oh, ouchie. Okay. Oh, it's still... Okay. I don't want to cut myself off from, you know, actually being able to get back up. Okay, so let's just continue to tunnel. Yeah. Yes, Vecna. Wasn't he? Isn't he played by Robert Englund? Or there's a. I thought I saw Robert Englund's name in the credits. So for those who don't know, Robert Englund played Freddy Krueger. Plays his dad. Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So, Digi, I know you looked up this game, and you said there was interesting stuff that would happen. And I don't know what this thing is, but it's big. So, let's see. Yeah. I can heal. It's healable. Okay. So I finished the entire episode 4. I think that's where the half season ended, was episode 4. I don't want to say too much on stream because even though the show has been out for, and that season has been out for over a year, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I'd rather not spoil a show for people because I don't like when people spoil things for me unless I am willing to accept that somebody may spoil it. Like, if you want to spoil the Bible, go ahead, because that's been out for centuries. But, you know, a show that's maybe a year old and I'm a little behind on watching, I'd rather not have that spoiled. Because I want to catch up and finish season 5. But yeah, I think that the best way they could have upped... Okay, I'm close to the halfway point. Oh, LT, you finished it. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. One of the things I love is for people who have experienced the 80s. Okay, it's saying my battery's low, but there's still a charge. But you know what? I'll go ahead and do something about that. Okay. So if you've not lived any time in the 80s, if you're too young to have lived in the 80s, I am going to tell you this because I did experience some of the 1980s. Yes, I am that old. I always tell you guys, I'm an old dragon. That they're pretty accurate on this show in terms of like the clothing people wear and the way they speak. It's pretty accurate. Like, you can watch shows and they're like, oh, you know, totally gnarly to the max, but not everybody actually talked like that in the 80s. So I will tell you how much I respect the show for really doing their best to honor the actual time period it takes place in. I am absolutely certain they found really good like costume designers and set decorators who knew exactly what houses looked like, what people wore. They did a really good job. I'm just trying to make some room for light here so I can see better what's below. Y'all, yeah, I know, I'm old. But you know what? I'm still fun. And that's all that matters. But yeah, like, I really respect that they actually cared to make a show that felt accurate to the time. You know, like the houses being decorated with like the wood paneling. They did a really good job giving it a sense of time, because like at the beginning into the mid 80s, there's a lot of stuff that was still very much 1970s. And so like a lot of houses were still kind of, you know, like they still had a lot of the popular autumn colors from that era, while everything was starting to move towards the bright, like 80s colors that were popular mid to late 80s. Speaking of high concept, almost forgot, new Life is Strange announced. You know, I almost scheduled to continue playing Life is Strange for this week, and I decided not to. I kind of wanted to get back to this game, but I will get back to that. I'll definitely get back to that game. Alright, let's get some more light down there. Life is Strange reunion. Okay. All right. Let's hop up. And let's sell. I think we have enough to do an upgrade. All right. Life is Strange in real life. Oh my gosh, yeah, true. Let's see. So it looks like I'm maxed up for now on most things. Ooh, do I want to get a drill? Okay, so Digi says, also, and I think I can say this with no spoilers since LT saw the whole show, I liked the finale, I liked how it all ends, and I laughed my butt off with the conformity gate. Interesting. Let's get a drill. Let's see how the drill works. Ooh, nice. Definitely faster. Okay. There we go. For those not in the know, a lot of the internet hated the finale, levels somewhere between Digimon O2's ending and Lost's ending hate. So I may not end up being one of them anyway, because I appreciated what Lost was trying to do. And I think the reason why Lost ended badly is because partway through the series, there was a huge writer's strike and they had to shorten one of the seasons. And so they ended up having to take out some of the plot that was important to make the ending meaningful. I actually know someone, so this is an interesting story. There was somebody who I know who their mother was a huge fan of Lost, and she was pretty much on her deathbed, and they knew she would never be able to see the ending of the show. So somebody was actually able to get the showrunners to come and tell her what was going to happen. Or destroy. Oh, okay. Nope. So they had the whole series planned out, but I think the writer's strike really hurt the series. So, you know, I kind of can't fault Lost on that. They tried their best. I appreciate what they were trying to do. It just didn't work out very well because of things getting in the way, essentially. Let's see. Okay, so Digi says, well, they were so desperate for it not to be the finale. They looked at all the plot holes and all the errors, like one of the characters having Under Armour in the 80s, and came up with the most logical solution. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, don't tell me too much, because I am still partway through season 4, as I said, so I definitely want to actually see it. Okay. Pop. Countdown strings. Okay, interesting. Let's take care of our battery. Get it charged up. And let's keep going. January 7th, we'll get the true finale, episode 9. Well, the time came and it was time to call up Netflix live on stream and call up again and again. Alright. You know what? Let's do a save. Doesn't hurt to save. I might be able to make a second way down, actually, if I do this well enough. Okay, there we go. Coming. Oh, okay. So, Panda and I are kind of, I wouldn't say addicted to the Too Good To Go app. But, oh my gosh, we have gotten some really good food off of that app. And no, I am not sponsored. I am not sponsored by Too Good To Go. I am not sponsored. If they want to sponsor me, then hey, I am all for that. But, anyway, we've been getting so much good food from using that app. We've gotten, like... Oh, Panera? Do you know what Panera is? It's like, I guess the easiest way to describe it is like a fast food, like, version of like a cafeteria. But they have like decent food. They have like soups and sandwiches and bakery stuff. So like you can go and get like, breakfast stuff like a bagel or like pastries or stuff like that, or you can go and get like a soup and sandwiches and like a salad. Like they have really, it's relatively healthy. Healthier Jimmy John's and Subway. Yeah, yeah. Although there was an issue they had a little while ago because they had this high caffeine lemonade and people didn't realize how much caffeine was in it and it was making people sick. They don't sell the lemonade anymore. But, you know, it's like they say, don't drink the lemonade. Okay. Battery low again. Okay, let's see. Battery. There we go. Yeah, they have really good soup, actually. I'm really impressed with their soup. I got, like, they had this, like, autumn squash soup that was really good a few months ago. But I think it's a seasonal one, so... Okay, I think this is a little better. Is there some more light? Probably not enough. There we go. This is a good spot to get. Oh, I kind of maybe messed up there. Can I still walk up there? Oh, it's tight. Oh, well that's interesting. Look where I am. Nope. Ah, crud. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. Ouch. Ouch. Yes. All right. Okay, let's go on up. Good. There we go. All right, let's sell some stuff. Also, if you're worried about how dark it is, you can get floodlights from the shop. I think that makes sense. Hang on a second. I may need more money to do it, though. Yes, lamp. Here we go. We have a lamp now. Okay. I am shovel. What does I am shovel mean? Okay. Let's go. Okay. All right. Okay. F. Nice. Okay. And then... wait. Shift? Wait. Why is it not? It was shoveling! Oh, there it goes. I swear, if I dig up the Statue of Liberty head from, yeah, object detected. I can tell. There's an object right here. Okay. Wait, there's my app. Okay. Battery low. Watching an American remake of Doc Martin while watching this. It's actually good. That's impressive when something is actually a good remake of a British show. Doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-boo. Keep running up that hill. Keep running up that road. Okay, come on. It said object detected. Well, of course there's an object. Look at what I'm dealing with here. There's a big, huge rock. There is a huge stinking rock. And there's a lot of silver. Yes, I know there's dynamite that I can get. Okay. There's more rock. I wanna rock and stone all night and party every day. Okay. Wait. Battery low. Yeah, I know. I'm aware. Got both of them. Inventory full. Sell, sell, sell. Battery. Full, full, full. Okay. I feel like there's such a mystery here, and I want it to be something really cool. At the same time, I'm like, can I just, you know, dig? I want to dig holes. I want to get to Australia or New Zealand. If you've never seen Doc Martin, I suggest you do. It's what happens when a surgeon develops a phobia for blood to the point that he's sick around the stuff, takes a job as the village doctor in the weirdest village of all UK. Oh wait, what is this? Oh, I think this might be the wall. I think that's the wall. Okay. All right, all right. Oh, you startled me, honey. Panda's here.
I didn't want to just. I didn't just want to go down in a hole. right in your ear, you know?
Yeah, probably a good idea.
You would have jumped out of your skin.
Oh, so you got bagels.
Yes, so here's what happened. They gave me an extra bagel.
They gave you a free bagel?
Yeah, they gave me an extra bagel with my stuff.
Oh, nice.
Hi, Cassie. So yeah, I got 2 sesame bagels and an Asiago cheese bagel.
Nice.
Which I wanted to get last time, and I didn't see until I already said that I wanted.
Right.
But yeah, they gave me an extra bagel. They probably would have given me the rest of them if they could.
Yeah.
Because they're just so like, oh my god,
Many bagels.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff.
And then we got some treats.
Some cranberry orange bread, a cinnamon roll, and and a cherry pastry.
Yum. That is really yummy. It's been a long time since this was played. All I'm gonna say is you're gonna get something big. Okay, I'm gonna get something big.
Big?
I'm gonna do a little heal there. Might as well. You know what? Let's buy the dynamite. You're hungry now? I'm sorry, LT. I mean, I'm streaming right now. I can't really eat all that stuff.
Yeah. I've always made a point to, like, not on stream, like, ever.
Well, you know, I do it sometimes if I know that, like, I haven't eaten in a while. I haven't had time to, like, eat before stream. But, other than that...
I believe everyone that's here, the only person that, was here for my, charity stream last year knows that, get out there! Knows that, when I went on my charity stream, I took a break to go for a walk and eat lunch or dinner, as the case was.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you just have to take a break.
Yeah.
Okay, there's something around here. Am I gonna find, like, an alien ship? I feel like there's gonna be, like, an alien ship. Or, you know, the Statue of Liberty head from, you know...
Planet of the Apes.
What?
Planet of the Apes?
Yes. Look, I know I'm actually... Schnur. Okay. Alright. No. There. Inventory full. Yeah. Next thing I'm gonna get is a bigger bag. So, at least I get a lot of money for all that silver that's deeper.
Yeah.
Okay, so, inventory. Yes. More inventory. More inventory! Yay! Yay! Let's make this a little less deep. So yeah, I have a drill now.
You have a drill?
I have a drill. It's not even shovels anymore. It's drills.
Mm-hmm. Is that the thing that's like melting the stuff in there? Ow.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ow.
You gotta start building some ladders there, honey.
Yeah, I need a ladder or something.
Super. Oh, battery low.
Okay. Oh, not that.
Hey, you're hitting your head.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. I want to dig up the entire thing. I kind of just want to dig up the entire thing just because I feel like it. I can put in a swimming pool. A very deep swimming pool. Okay. I love how this is so, like, kid-coded. Like, you go, you go to the beach and you just start digging a hole, you know, and then you keep digging, and then you keep digging because you're a kid, and that's what you do, and you don't know what you're doing. You don't know where the heck you're making this hole go. You just keep doing it because that's what you do. You simply go to the beach and dig a hole.
And then you hit groundwater and you realize, what the hell?
Yeah, and you're like, wait, this is where I am? What's going on? And after a while, like, your parents are like, sorry, time to go home. And you're like, oh, man. Okay, so it's down here. Oh, oh, lovely. Look at that big old hole.
Oh, it's a bigger hole.
Yeah. Oh dear. How are we gonna get down here without hurting ourselves?
It's a spaceship.
What is that?
Either that or it's a giant vacuum cleaner.
It's beeping. I hear sounds. But there's this over here. Is it a mine? Is it actually the mines of Moria?
We must go through the mines of Moria.
I know I'm close. Oh gosh, where's... Okay, that's up. Uh-huh. Okay. Alright, okay. Alright. Let's see. Sorry, time to go home. But Mom! I want to go to China! Mom! Ooh, that was a lot of money all at once.
Got a lot of silver in there.
Yeah. My friends say I just spawn things in. They ask for a spoon, and I just pull out a spoon from my jacket. Emergency spoon. You know, it doesn't hurt to have an emergency spoon or an emergency spork. Sporks are underrated. I know people make fun of sporks, but they are kind of useful. They're a fork and they're a spoon at the same time.
There was like a running gag about sporks in Fooly Cooly.
Mm-hmm. What?
So I was gonna start playing World of Warcraft, but then I realized, then I saw, oh no, the servers are under maintenance until like 8 p.m.
Why is there a detector? It's a different detector. You don't know what's going on. Game. Okay, something over here. I found a key.
Oh.
Ooh. Oh, you know what? Hang on. You know what we have in this room? We have a chest.
You need another one.
I need another one. Ooh. Why are there limes?
Limes?
Look, there's limes right here. Why are there so many limes?
Probably for some killer margaritas.
I guess so.
I mean,
I guess you can dig and then afterwards you can celebrate with some margaritas.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me do this. I'm going to refill my battery because I'm up here. There. I fixed my health. There. Okay. Zoom. Okay. And then I have to go down here. Oh, okay. Oh, wait a moment. What's this?
Oh, it looks like a bed. Don't touch my limes.
Don't touch my limes. Yeah. Let's see what's down here. Okay. Let's... Okay. Take care of that inventory. Sell. Maybe get a little more battery because we're here. And let's go. Is it like an old like gold mine from like 1849 in California?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm gonna expand this out a little bit.
So here's something I've been meaning to watch for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Digi might know this one. It's a Bruce Campbell show. It's called The Adventures of Briscoe County.
Oh, yes. I think we've talked a bit about that.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously not that. It's another
Okay, so it went away. The detector, that is. I have a feeling we are in for some treasure. Ooh. Okay. There's definitely something going on in here. We found gold. Of course the battery is low. Of course it is. Battery. And sell. Okay, so what are we going to buy next? Because there's... Let's buy bigger battery. Bigger battery. Mm-hmm. Bigger battery. Bigger battery. Okay. Do not want to spoil. Mm-hmm. It's more limes. That's what it is. It's a lime mine. A lime mine, rather, not mind. Me speak English good. Let's see if I can get this more open over here. this nice and clean. You never know what there could be underneath. And it's nothing, but that's okay. Okay, what is this? It's a hatch. Crate. It's a crate with stuff in it.
Let's find out what it is.
It looks like it was lights and some dynamite. Okay. Interesting. So that's not the end of the game. There's more stuff to find. Okay. Okay. All right. Inventory, sell. We're gonna have a lot of money. Me eat English, yummy words. Words can be yummy. You know, I don't really spend much time over in this area. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just work on this area a bit. Maybe I'll find that other key. Ouch. Starting to feel like the Grand Canyon rather than a backyard mess. Okay, let's see. Stop breaking. Stop breaking your ankles. You'll break your ankles, you know? I mean, sometimes I need to be reminded. I'm sorry. Okay, let's go this way a bit. I mean, there's all this, like, stuff. Like, we found some gold. You know, that's kind of interesting right there. Although gold is not as uncommon as we think it is. Okay, that is a big honking piece of rock. But I am going to travel straight away instead of... Okay, okay, fine. Battery low. Sell my stuff. Sell the stuff. Heal. Charge. We're good. Okay. You haven't saved the game for 30. Okay, fine. I'll save the game. Satisfied? Oh, Panda.
Yes.
Have you ever played EDF 4.1 before?
EDF 4.1? No, I've never played any of the Earth Defense Force games, actually.
How did I... I'll have money to pay for the hospital bills. I'll mine some stuff and I'll have money for the hospital bills. That's all that matters. Okay. No problem, Foxy. So obviously somebody's been in this area before, because there would not be a room underground if there wasn't somebody here before. But how did that room end up there? Like, what was going on? It's just a random underground room. It's quite a big question. You know, if there wasn't a thing underground, it would still be freaking interesting. This game, that's to say. Inventory full. Okay, so we're going this way, this way, this way, this way. Blink. Sell, sell, sell. Okay, now let's recharge our battery a little bit. And get a better jetpack. Okay, so now I just need to get more money to get a I am shovel. I wonder if, like, it's like there's a point where you're like, there's not anything else to get when it comes to the shovels. Hey, I'm being gentle. Gentle I am. You know, I will say this. It is such a relief to have silly games like this to play when I'm under stress. Like, whoever made this game knew what they were doing. Because this is a very interesting game. And it's so simple. Like, you know, games really... It's nice to have games that are not overcomplicated.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
I mean, sure, definitely having some games that are challenging are worthwhile. You know, like sometimes I enjoy the challenge, but sometimes you don't want to think that hard. Yeah, I think I have Coffee Talk in my... I think I have it on my Steam wish list? I can't remember.
I think I have it in my library, so that means you can play it anywhere.
Yeah, that might be helpful. That's the nice thing about having a family connection thing in Steam, is you can do stuff like that.
I gotta keep you tuned. I interrupt you for a quick second, honey.
Yes. Mardi Gras food pyramid. Beignets, po' boys, crawfish, jambalaya, red beans and rice, and king cake.
Oh my god.
I had a classmate in grad school who brought some king cake to class for us for Mardi Gras. She was a really sweet person. I liked her. She definitely very much from New Orleans. You could tell the French reference in her name. But yeah, she was a really nice person. She was really pretty too, actually, when I think about it. I cannot tell you how many people who go into studying mental health are people who have had mental health issues. I'm not gonna tell names of people in my classes because that's not appropriate. But you know, it's really interesting. There are people in my class who recovered addicts, people who had eating disorders, people who had anger issues, people who experienced all kinds of trauma. But, yeah, I mean, people who go into studying mental health are not people who are perfect. They are people who are imperfect, and that's why they're good people to be studying mental health. You don't want to go to a therapist who has never experienced difficulty in their lives, because then it's hard for them to understand why you have struggles. You know? It helps when you are actually seeing somebody who's been through stuff, and sometimes it helps when you're seeing somebody who has been through the same stuff you've been through. So just because somebody may have they may be working in mental health, it doesn't mean that they are the mentally healthiest people in the world, but they will probably understand you better because they've been through stuff themselves. Alright, let's sell. Let's battery. Health. Okay. I feel like if I found that key, you know what, maybe I should get rid of some of this. There. Oh, yep, there's the other side of the wall. Alright, so now I'm going sideways. I like a good mystery. You know? Something that's like, what's gonna come next, you know? Maybe that's why I like to play Clue so much. Panda has caught me playing Clue on my Switch quite a few times.
The only thing about the Switch is that its rumble feature is actually kind of loud.
It is. Oh, the rumble feature is very loud. So, alright, has it on the MST3K episode, the beatniks in the background. 50s moral movies are strange. Oh my god, they are so deranged that actually the best way to watch them is to, like, actually use drugs to watch them.
Or be otherwise inebriated, yeah.
Right, because they are so wacky and weird.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then there's, like, the weird surfer ones, like, I don't know which episode it was where, but, it was when, Servo goes, and!
Have you ever seen the Gidget movies?
No, I've never heard of them.
Oh, Gidget. Gidget is like a series of surfer movies about this girl named Gidget, and she has all of her beach surfer friends. And there's been several Gidget movies. It's really weird. Like, there's a whole series of them, and they used to show them like on like the channels you don't usually watch much. They'd have like special weekend movies, and they'd always show like really old movies that most people wouldn't bother to watch. Aha. Clean that up a little bit. Okay, let's keep going. Not again.
Yeah, old
Goodness.
bad movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually, Aspen and I try to watch something watch like quality stuff. Like
Yeah.
for example, we watched Galaxy Quest
Yes.
the other day, and I really liked it.
It's a quality movie.
It is a quality movie. I try not to watch movies that are bad because, like, they don't need any encouragement.
Yeah, I kind of get what you mean.
Everybody was like, ironically. Here's the problem with liking something ironically. It's going to make the movie producers believe that they actually created something that's worth our time.
Well, it's like what happened with Morbius.
Yeah, exactly. The first movie that came to mind. People memed the hell out of Morbius. And of course, we don't speak the same language as movie executives.
They thought people wanted to see the movie, and they thought they could profit off of the whole, the meme, and then they didn't realize that actually everybody thinks the movie is terrible, and that's why it's a meme.
According to the Beatniks, written by Paul Frees, yes, Boris Badenoff, Beatniks are thugs that dress nice and go around and rob people until they get signed record deals. Oh my god. So yeah, that's kind of the problem, is that, like, it's kind of like in the producers where, in the producers remember how they were like, oh, we made something bad on purpose. Something bad and totally offensive on purpose. Oh, you mean you liked it? Oh, cool, we can make another one like it. And it totally flopped. That brings to mind, like, the entire Sharknado franchise. People watched it ironically, and the people were like, you like me! You really, really like me! And then all of a sudden we're getting all these sequels that, like, nobody asked for, and the entire thing fizzles out.
Yeah.
So no, that's why I don't watch bad movies, because they don't need any encouragement from me. For me, I have a ball with good bad movies like Troll 2 or Sharknado 2. The sad part? Do tell. Oh, jeez. The Sharknado movies are the only good Asylum movies. Yeah. I mean, I'm all for a ridiculous premise, like Cocaine Man,
Although that actually happened.
Yeah.
It's based on a true story, which is
really?
even frickin' weirder. Yeah, apparently somebody, I don't know, some bear got a hold of cocaine for some reason. Somebody had it. They were trying to hide it from the cops or something.
And a bear got into it.
Yeah, literally happened.
Oh
Insane.
My God. That's actually kind of funny, but given how much I like bears, and Aspen knows how much I like bears, it's like...
It's kind of sad.
It's kind of sad, I like seeing bears being innocent and breaking into convenience stores and stealing candy bars.
Yeah.
I don't want a bear that all of a sudden has a cocaine problem.
Right.
That would make me unendingly sad. Eating a burger with no honey mustard. You put honey mustard on your burger. Interesting.
Honey mustard is so good. I think it's like a universal yum.
Did we tell LT about the Greek burger, the tzatziki burger that we had?
No.
Yeah. So LT, I was telling your mother last night about a Greek style burger I had. It had tzatziki on it, which is like yogurt, lemon, dill, and cucumber.
Yeah, it's a popular kind of
Put it on gyros.
dip / dressing in Greece.
Oh, you don't like
Oh, you
honey
don't
mustard?
like honey mustard?
Oh.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
Hey,
Interesting.
to each
Like-
their own.
You like what you like.
If you get any honey mustard, you can send it to me.
Or me. Battery critical. Oh no, honey.
Yeah. Yeah, let's walk up. Because I think it uses the battery.
I think that's the hardest part about this game is not screwing yourself, especially
Yeah.
early when you don't have much battery capacity.
Right. Okay, let's battery. 69.
69, dude.
Okay. We're getting there.
Yeah.
We've been spending an hour digging stuff.
So yeah.
This is my hole.
This is my hole. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
The classic Junji Ito.
This does kind of feel like a Junji Ito kind of situation.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, we would have seen horrors beyond comprehension at this point, which really was Junji Ito.
Right. If I see honey mustard on my food, it's warm. Okay. All right. I will never put honey mustard on your food. But, being somebody who has allergies, like, I am totally for people not eating things they don't want to eat or they don't like to eat. Oh, it is getting dark here. Let me do I'll do a light right there.
Oh, did you know about Junji Ito's cat diary?
No.
Oh, Junji Ito decided to do a story about cats, about his cat. He gets to, the book follows Ito and his wife as they deal with Yon, a strange-looking cat, and the adorable Norwegian forest cat, who slowly win him over despite his initial apprehension.
Interesting. It sounds very un-Junji Ito.
Yeah, that's what I like about people that play against type and stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's like, for me with writing, too, I don't always write stuff that lines up.
Yeah.
Because, I do write a lot of horror comedy, but I also just write horror sometimes.
Yeah.
I kind of, and then, there's some things I write that are more sci-fi or fantasy rather than horror, so I feel kind of like, well, I don't want to feel limited because, I have one thing that I've published, but, I want to be able to publish other things that aren't the same genre that people can enjoy.
So the thing for me is that whenever I'm on stage, I am usually typecast into the role of a villain. Oh, the English of Ninja Robots I reviewed a couple of years ago, it was glorious.
my favorite bad movie will always be Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Which I haven't seen.
It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
They did not know what they like. It's a perfect example of somebody having too much money, but not enough money to make several separate films, so they made a bunch of films that make no sense. Or they made one film that makes no sense because they actually wanted to do an alien movie, but also like a horror movie, but also like, you know, whatever that was. They're trying to go into too many different genres, and it didn't work the way they wanted it to.
Oh, speaking of performing, the auditions have opened for the spring shows.
Very cool. Battery. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. To the mine.
Oh, a dub studio in Florida. They're the guys that did, like, Miami Guns, right?
So auditions for local theater, is that what you mean?
Radio theater.
Oh.
Live radio theater, like what I've done
Nice.
before. I actually prefer radio theater to
Actual stage theater.
because I'm not good at remembering lines. But at radio theater, I actually have my sides in front of me.
Right. Which, fair enough, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, like, nothing's coming up. Nothing is detected. It's just more and more ore.
But let's just say that if I don't get typecast as the villain, this is a chance for me to break out my Mary voice magic.
I guess it depends on what kind of they're doing.
Yeah. I already, I didn't participate in any shows last year because I didn't have a chance. But I also didn't really pound the pavement and go for and check the website for auditions and stuff like that. Miami Guns was not dubbed before that. Oh, okay. I'm probably thinking of someone else then.
I'm like going in an entire circle. What am I doing? I don't know. I'm just looking for stuff. So with a group of friends during the pandemic, we were doing like radio theater readings of Star Trek episodes.
Yeah.
That was actually really fun.
My radio theater troupe actually used to do some Rule 63 TOS episodes.
I would love to know what all the rules are. You know how there's so many different internet rules?
Right. Ow.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, there's so many rules and stuff like that. It's hard to keep track of them all.
Yeah, it's a little hard.
I mean, the one that I mean, the ones that everybody knows are Rule 34, Rule 63, and a few others, and there's a few others.
Right. Okay, I need about somewhere between $300 and $400 more to get the next thing. All right. Okay, so Ninja Robots was done by Sonic 3 Studios, and it's one of those where the minute you hear the name, you know it can only go one of two ways. Directed by a dude named Buzz.
Sonic 3 Studios.
Unlike Boz, which is Boz Lerman, who actually made some very memorable movies in the 90s and early 2000s. Like Moulin Rouge and Romeo and Juliet. It was really kind of his heyday. I don't know. Let's make... The rules have changed, Captain Price, from Modern Warfare.
Captain Price from the rules have changed, Captain Price. You know, one of the first few streams I watched with Satori was playing a lot of old Call of Duty games from when I was in college, and it just gave me the nicest nostalgia trip. It's like, I'm more nostalgic for like my college days than I am for my childhood, because I honestly don't remember too much of my childhood. But she played Black Ops. She played like Modern Warfare 3, stuff like that. She played Medal of Honor, the reboot Medal of Honor, which my experience with the PS1 Medal of Honor games was pretty limited. And they were kind of, if they came out for, did they come out for PC? I don't remember. But basically, the Medal of Honor remake that they did in 2010, I think, for the PlayStation 3 and 360 and PC. Mid as hell. Middle of Honor.
Middle of Honor.
It was mid. It was the most paint-by-numbers shooter. And they were gonna, and EA had all these great hopes of reviving the Medal of Honor name and this and that and everything else, and it was just mid.
Shame.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the Medal of Honor games is that they were all World War II shooters, and Medal of Honor arguably created the genre World War II first-person shooter. But you weren't just shooting stuff; you were also doing like spy missions and stuff like that. So you were playing as a guy from the OSS. So like they're clunky today. Like if you were to go back and play the original Medal of Honor on PS1, it would be clunky. But you know, there's still much more of a variety of gameplay than just going around balls to the wall shooting.
So, okay, we need about 100 more, and I can get the better drill. I am Shovel. I wonder if these are... Ugh, okay, I'll save the game. Jeez Louise. Yes. I love how it tells you, you have not saved the game. Save the game! Like, why do you need me to save the game so badly? What is wrong? Like, is there something bad that's gonna happen in the game that's gonna kill me or something? And
it's probably just, I imagine it would just be a professional courtesy, simply because the game obviously doesn't seem to save for you. It doesn't have an autosave.
Yeah, I guess so.
And like, we're in a day and age when everybody expects autosave. If you go back and you play a game that doesn't have autosave in it, and you forget, like, there you go. There's a few hours gone.
Yeah.
Especially since a lot of those older games don't let you pick up immediately where you left off. That was something I really appreciated about Persona 4, was that if you died to a boss in Persona 4 Golden, at least I think I can't remember if it was in the original. It's been a long time. But in Persona 4 Golden, if you died to a boss, you could start immediately right outside the boss room where there is a save point.
Nice.
And to be perfectly honest, in Persona 4, there is always, always, always a save point right outside the boss room. It could not be more obvious what the boss room looks like in the dungeons in Persona 4. If you didn't save, then shame on you.
I mean, I like to save in games anyway. I'm
Yeah.
pretty, like, on top of that,
I don't
you
like
know?
being, like I said on the Silent Hill streams last summer, I don't like being judged for the number of saves I've made.
Right, right.
You know?
Well, if it was really a problem, they wouldn't let you save like that, you know?
Okay. Hey, honey,
Yes.
we've got sides. The troop posted their sides, so I'd like to do a little bit of a personal review sometime before the mission.
Absolutely.
I don't like stealth missions in Call of Duty. If there's no one alive, then there's no reinforcements. Yeah. Well, the thing is, the stealth missions in Call of Duty have always been a little clumsy. I think the best way to... Hey, rocket ship! I think, yeah, Call of Duty has just never been the kind of game where stealth has been handled well. There have been good set-piece missions where you're, being stealthy on the way up to the target, like in Modern Warfare 2, where you're climbing the snowy mountain. That was a great mission. All gillied up in the first Modern Warfare, in Call of Duty 4, absolutely fantastic. That was a wonderful mission.
You know, it's funny that I've never been drawn to playing Halo, but, I love Red versus Blue. Just a classic.
So, the more I think about it, with regard to Halo and its story and stuff like that, the more I kind of want to apologize to Bungie, because they had more of a... Ooh, you better get some wars there, honey.
Yes.
The more I want to apologize for Bungie for calling Halo shallow, because it's got far more story than most first-person shooters do.
Ooh, that's good. Oh, look at how nice that is.
The boys singing the Halo theme. The boys singing the Halo theme in the boys' bathroom. I was there for Halo 3 when it came out. That was actually something some of the students I interacted with really liked when I was helping them.
That you knew what they were interested in.
Well, it wasn't that I knew what they were interested in. It was like, hey, I just liked telling them, hey, this is how it used to be with GameStop. You'd get games like, Super Smash Brothers and like Halo. Every year there was a midnight launch for Call of Duty. That shit was an event, man. Like, those were all events.
Ooh, look what I can do. Haha! I could go straight up now.
It's gonna be like the end of The Martian, where he like propels himself and he does the superhero pose. Remember that? In The Martian.
In The Martian, yeah.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, the book. All right, look, okay, like you know what I'm gonna say.
The book was better.
But the movie was pretty good. I will say that. It was a pretty good... If you were going to adapt that book into a movie, that was a good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
friend of mine, his friend had Halo 3 for his friend's 360. His friend's day 1 360. Yeah, it kills me to know that the Xbox 360 is now old enough to drink.
Okay, I am gonna blow that up. Okay, here, I will do... Didn't mean to hurt myself.
Did it blow you up? Did it blow you up, dear?
No! It didn't blow up the rock. Oh, no.
No, you misunderstand.
No. Okay, how about if I go from here? I'll make a little... There we go.
His friend's day 1 360 with the original venting hole. Oh, yeah. I'm sure I knew what you meant. Like, I know what the original Xbox 360 looks like. As a matter of fact, I'd like to get one. But I also need to, and I've been meaning to do this pretty much since I met Aspen, I have to find a way to download Yaris, the Xbox Live Arcade game.
Yes, because I used to own a Toyota Yaris.
And I need to show her just how bad that game was. How nice the Yaris was as a car, but how bad it was as a
video game.
Yeah.
Well,
like, it was a product placement video game, and I think it was like, I can't remember whether it was free or if it was like 400 Microsoft points, which was like $5 at the time.
Well, here's what I'll say about being a former Yaris owner.
Mm-hmm.
Why they would make a video game about that particular car, I don't know. I mean, they did have a sport version. I did not have the sport version. I had the regular version. I had the Yaris sedan, not the hatchback. And, you know, like, I get it. You know, things are weird sometimes, but, you know, I don't think I need to blow that up.
Yeah.
But, you know, people make some very weird choices when it comes to how to market things.
Uh-huh.
And that was a very weird way to market particular said car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My friend and his friend had no longer had Halo 3 after playing. They had Halo 3 Soup. It went beyond RRD. The game melted due to the day 1 models venting. Oh my god. Yeah. Well, that was a problem with the Xbox 360 when it came out. It was they basically had their design from day 1 and they tried to get things to fit into it, which is not the way to go. Like, if there's one thing I can tell you from racing, it's that you never design the chassis before you put the engine in. As for the Ars game, you guys ever heard of Re-Res? Yeah, I've heard of Re-Res.
I have not.
Yeah, he's a YouTuber who tackles particularly bad games. But so back in around 2015, when McLaren had another engine tie-up with Honda, because, you know, nostalgia, and they were like, oh, you know, we got Honda back. We're gonna dominate like we did in the late 80s.
Honda.
Yeah. No, Honda made good engines back then in Formula One. They covered Yaris as part of a collective of bad racing games. Okay, so maybe I won't have to play it to show Aspen. But yeah, like, so McLaren had this idea for a concept, because these were this was like the first generation of 1.6 liter V6 turbo hybrid models, model engines and power units and stuff like that. So, the McLaren, like I think it was like the MP430, or MP429, I think it was. They had this silly idea called a size zero concept. And what they wanted to do was they had like this really, really tight packaging in the chassis for Honda to get the engine. Well, the problem with the 2015 McLaren Honda engine is that Honda didn't have enough lead time to really make this work, because Ron Dennis pressured Honda into entering Formula One a year before they wanted to. So they had this really silly size zero concept where they had this extremely tight packaging where they had to stuff the like the engine in and all that. And it was like, and part of the, and it was a part of the problems with that engine that year was because they couldn't, it was too tight a fit. So Honda, to give the engineers credit, Honda did get that engine into that chassis, but the problem was they couldn't cool it effectively. And it was slow because they had no choice. Beyond a number of other problems, they had no choice but to turn the engine down because it was just running too hot.
Interesting.
Yep. Yeah, Aiden Millward on YouTube just did a retrospective of like the 3 years that McLaren and Honda tied up from like 2015 to 2017. The MCL 32, Honda's last engine with McLaren, absolute fucking disaster.
You know, I'm not exactly like a big car person, but, you know, it's interesting to learn from somebody who's passionate about it, you know?
I'm just passionate about
like,
F1.
Yeah, because I know I'm going to learn something I don't know.
Yeah. Oops.
It's okay. We'll get...
Yeah, so yeah, it's... yeah, basically, Honda failed with McLaren because McLaren were really pig-headed. And then Honda succeeded with Red Bull because Honda were you know, allowed to do what they wanted and encouraged to do what they wanted. The Re-Res Driving Game Reviews is the worst racing game of all time. I do like racing games. I'm just not that good at them. Especially like in stuff like Gran Turismo, where they really put a lot of emphasis on quote-unquote real driving. My big problem with Gran Turismo is that they put all this meticulous detail into cars. I would take much fewer cars if they had accurate damage modeling. And you know Polyphony Digital would do a great job in damage modeling if they could do it right. But instead, you're basically playing bumper cars and stuff like that, and your car comes... You can lob your car into any corner you want, and it's gonna come out just fine, you know, unless you do an endurance race or something. Now, Aspen could probably watch me play Gran Turismo. She's complimented me on how smooth a driver I am out there actually on the road and stuff like that.
Panda's a good driver. Like, but, I trust him driving.
Yeah. R Racing Evolution? Yeah, I've heard of it. Had a pretty girl on the cover.
Yeah. Shoot. Sure. Okay.
I think what they tried to do is they tried to for the racing girl in R Racing Evolution, they tried to make her the same as like the grid girl in Ridge Racer, I think. But not just being a grid girl, she would actually like race.
Okay, I realize I'm mostly going sideways then down. And I should just be going down.
Yeah. Oh, worst racing game on Steam,
No.
Flat Out 3, Chaos and Destruction. I don't know which game it was, but it was actually kind of funny, because, like, this was years and years ago when they actually had, like, game setups and all that in GameStops. Because remember, in GameStop, you could actually play games back in the day.
Right.
And, there was one game where, like, you know, some kid was playing it, obviously didn't know how to play it, was just pressing buttons and stuff like that. And, like, there was an announcer out there, eventually I just heard from the game thing, "Stop hitting the wall!"
Yeah.
Honey, don't hurt yourself. The story in the game is she's an ambulance driver that got the manager's driver to the hospital so fast he hires her to take his place. That sounds like an anime plot to me. But no, I've never played R Racing Evolution. Just one of those games that really kind of escaped me.
Maximum inventory.
Yeah, it was just R Racing Evolution was a game that just escaped me. I guess I was too busy playing Gran Turismo 3.
Walk in circles, walkie, walkie, walk, walk, walk.
Ooh, the thing that made R Racing Evolution stick out was the system where you can actually make your opponents so nervous they spin out. Yeah, that's actually like part of the psychology of racing is that, like, if you attack, you know, it isn't just about passing somebody, it's about pressuring them to the point where they make a mistake.
You cannot be somebody who is easily stressed.
No, and have you seen the necks on those F1 drivers?
Yes.
Like, if you look at, like, Kimi Räikkönen's neck or something like that, his neck is, like, out to here. You know?
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, you need that neck strength to handle all those G-forces. Remember, this is open-wheel racing.
Yeah. Gold.
Drive up close enough, they start freaking out in below turns, passes, and you crash, and you hear them freak out over the radio. Oh, that sounds terrible. That's a nightmare.
More gold. Yeah. Wrong spot. Okay. So I can go over here. Walk over there. Walk over there. Go up, 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 up. Here we go. Up, 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 up. Ooh, that was a lot of money all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, lots of money.
Yes. We're gonna get a better battery.
As for that game, Flat Out 3 re-res reviewed it on a separate bid, and ye gods did they drop the ball. Yeah, Flat Out was... I remember seeing Flat Out on PlayStation 2 at the time. No, I knew what you meant. I'm trying to think, because there were Stuntman. That was another one. Stuntman, which the original Stuntman was made by a company called Reflections. That was basically used as kind of like a tech demo for what their next big open world game was going to be, Driver 3. But Stuntman and Stuntman Ignition kind of stand on their own as, you know, good times. You know, they're not. Don't expect the deepest game experience, but it's a lot of fun, especially once you start chaining stuff together into that perfect run. A different studio got their hands on the Flat Out franchise, and at least you can't drill into the foundation of the house. I mean,
yeah. Hey,
that would be terrible if you could. That'd be terrible if you could like accidentally drill into the foundation of the house.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden your house like caves in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let's go up this way. Gold. come on. Something's gotta be here. Something's gotta give.
Okay, so they came up with the stupid idea that they needed drivers. Drivers like Vin Diesel parody Benson Von Benson.
I love how
Benson
much
or
of a
Benzine
nerd
Von-
Vin Diesel actually is.
Or do you mean like benzene von benzene? You know, like gas? No, it's benzene. You're missing an E in there. I'm not sure what the German word for gas is. But it's probably something along the lines of something almost like petrol.
Yeah, I would think so.
Well, benzene is...
Ooh, that was a lot of money.
Yeah, benzene, so B-E-N-Z-I-N.
Gosh, I'm earning so much money in this game that if I didn't buy anything, I could probably pay for our wedding and then some.
Well, at the rate we're going, we're going to be out of there, and we're going to set a new record.
They're going to pay us.
Yeah, exactly. People are going to be asking us, like, how in the hell did you do it? You know? 47. Who's 47, you ask? Well, if you played the games, see if this sounds familiar. Oh, I know. Agent 47. Hitman. Driver is an assassin for hire, known for his bald head, shades, and barcode on the back of his neck. Wait a minute. No, they didn't get fucking... No, they didn't team with IO Interactive for that. No! Don't ask me what Hitman has to do with racing games other than that one mission, but there he is. I wonder if they tried to create something that was kind of like Twisted Metal as opposed to whatever Flat Out was before that.
Come on. Give me something other than big old rocks. You know what? Here. I'm gonna do this.
Flat Out 3 was only released for Windows. Okay, so that was Flat Out 2 I was thinking of. That was on PlayStation 2. There's the levels. Levels like Detroit, San Francisco, urban landscapes. Hell. Yes, you really get to race in hell. That's fun.
Hallelujah. I guess.
Hallelujah.
Alright, at minus 35 meters.
Must be cold. 35 meters underground.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. But you may ask yourself, how can a new studio get such a big game out so soon after getting the rights to it? Did they repurpose another game that was supposed to be a flat-out clone?
That
That's
sounds
my
about
guess.
right to
That's
me.
my guess.
Right.
Well, it turns out the new studio, infamous for making Wii racing shovelware. Which, the Wii had enough problems with shovelware in its day. They didn't repurpose another game. They just like, okay, get it out. All right, you got 2 months to make something. And we got this nice franchise that not a lot of people know, but people seem to like. You got 2 months to turn it into something.
Wait, no, they repurposed 6 Wii racing games.
6 Wii racing games.
What?
Ah!
Okay.
Want a pet dinosaur? A dinosaur.
Dinosaur. Yeah, I feel like I'm getting to the point where I might be seeing dinosaurs soon.
Yeah.
You know.
Dinosaur.
It's starting to get, like, echoey here.
Oh, indeed. Where you are?
Mm-hmm.
6 Wii racing games. They took levels, cars, and effects from all of them and put them in one. You can even see some gas stations from all of those games in it. They didn't even bother to change anything.
Oh, something over here.
Oh, did it? Let's go. A key.
Key! Yes, we found the other key.
Mine, boys, mine every mountain and dig, boys. Dig till you drop, grab a pick, boys. Quick, boys. Shove in a shovel.
As much as Pocahontas was a complete bastardization of the actual story of Pocahontas, a teleporter.
You got a teleporter.
Ooh. Oh, nice. Okay, here. So,
Anyway, you were saying about Pocahontas, my dear.
as much as it was such a bastardization of her actual story, Disney had some really beautiful songs in that movie.
They really were good.
Colors of the Wind is one of the best Disney songs
the pop
ever.
version of that?
I don't recall. But, like, that is such a beautiful song.
Who sang that? Tori Kelly. Okay,
I don't know who that
Don't know
is.
who that is.
Have you ever heard wolf cry to the blue corn moon? Or ask the grinning wildcat why he grins?
Oh, Vanessa Williams. Okay.
Ah,
No,
Vanessa
Williams.
Williams.
Okay. Yeah, Vanessa Williams did that.
Oh. What is that? Honey.
Oh, it's magma. At least I think it is. Bette Midler. Nah, it wasn't Bette Midler. She was past her prime by that point.
What the ever-loving hell is this?
What? But yeah, Disney, like pop versions of Disney, or pop radio versions of Disney songs, definitely, definitely were a thing in the 90s. But you're dying.
Oh.
You're dying.
What? Wait, where am... Shit. There we go. Holy moly. What? Wait. There. Okay. So definitely hot down there.
You may... I wonder if there is an item to get.
Let's go sideways a bit. Yeah. Okay. I don't think it's cold down here anymore, honey.
Good. Throw the dynamite, says LT.
Ooh. I don't know. I'm a little worried.
I'm going to metagame here and probably say there's probably not enough in terms of game physics to, for, like, lava to start bubbling up like it's, Minecraft or something. Sure, why not? It's just a flood of magma. She's a lava bender, right?
Okay. Let me make this a little... There. Up. Up. Oh, you know what? Oh, I can only use it once.
You can only use it once?
Or maybe I...
You can only use it once.
Oh, crud.
What a lame item.
Yeah.
Oh, $1,200.
Okay. Well, that's okay, because I can do this. I can improve my jetpack.
And there you go. You're fully upgraded.
And now I have to save again.
They don't give you multiple slots, though.
No, you don't.
Like I said, Digi, I'm gonna metagame here for a second and say, it's like I don't expect this game to be like Minecraft, where there's at least a little bit of physics, you know. Please, wait, just let me have a little bit of the physics. Nope, it's too physical.
Okay. Let's see. Alright, that makes it a little bit easier to get around. Yeah, it starts to echo when you get down here. Oh, right. Should I risk it?
Well, you did save.
Yes.
Trust me, says LT.
It did nothing. At least we're not dead. But you know what? Sometimes it's good to try to test. That's what the scientific method is. You test things and you see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then you try something else.
I mean, let me put it this way. I had eventually got the Platinum Trophy for Ghost of Tsushima. You know what happened within the first 5 minutes of me playing the game for the first time? I got stuck in a mountain. I couldn't get down without falling off and dying. So...
Okay, there's nothing below me that is molten hot lava. I'm getting a lot of gold. Down. Okay, there's something down here. wants me to go in the lava. I don't...
What? No. What? Is this it? Have we hit the... And you can't be in the lava.
Right.
Until you, like...
Unless I can go below the lava. Which I just did. Interesting.
It's not like stuff collapses in this game either. So.
Yeah.
Oh. Very cool.
Hang on. Let me do this. Oh.
Oh, there is a...
Okay. Okay. Alright, that's what I was looking for. If I'm gonna do light, I want it on the wall. No.
Uh-oh. This game kind of has like...
Up.
I feel like this game kind of has like an upside-down difficulty curve, where it's really hard at the beginning of the game because you don't have any resources, and then it gets easier as the game goes on.
Okay, now it's up.
Oh. I think I see. As long as you don't step on the fiery parts. As long as you just don't step on the fiery parts, then you're okay. Yeah.
Oh. It's over here. Okay, let me... Oof. Alright, how do I get out of here?
Oh no.
Alright, oh shit. How do I get out of here?
Oh no.
Oh shoot.
Oh no.
Oh no. Okay, hang on. Shoot. Oh no. Oh no.
Are you stuck?
I might be stuck.
You finally succumbed. You dug too greedily and too deep.
Here, let me check something. Okay. Shift. Alright, so.
Oh, if you go straight across, I see light.
That is the light that I put up. Okay.
Oh no.
Why'd you guys tell me to put that light there? Now I don't know where I am. I can't find other light to get out of here. Oh, wait, hang on. No. No, no. Okay. Oh.
You got it?
I think so. Yes!
Yeah, you got it.
Haha. Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm not dead. I get my book reading from my mother. Yes. We should always read books that are worthwhile. And sometimes we should read books that are just fun.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I survived. Sell.
I'm not dead.
I'm only slightly dead. Okay.
I was gonna say maybe we should take the hint and like call it for the night.
Yeah. Let's just call it for the night. Because it is I usually end around now anyway. All right. So, we've got some interesting stuff going on in this game now. We'll come back to it maybe next week or something. I don't know. Okay. All right. So, let us... Oh, we should save. Do a save. Do us a heckin' save. Okay. Alright, so let's... Alright, let's find somebody to raid. Let's raid. Okay. Who am I following? We can do Erp Derp, who's pretty nice, but he is not a VTuber. If you'd prefer a VTuber...
Roy just went live.
Yeah. Well, let's just see what's there.
Nightmare Detective's playing Look Outside. Nice.
Ooh.
Oh,
Almanta's just started. Just want to check anybody else. Larry from formerly Rooster Teeth. Not that Riverside Wings. That's a friend of mine. Kaya. Okay. Let's do Almantis because he's always. Or you know what? Let's do Akari. Akari Maidesho. Okay, I will give uppies. Uppies. There we go. All right. Oh no, she just ended.
She did start earlier than she normally
All
does.
right, let's find somebody else. Okay. We'll go to Almantis. He's a good general, like a good person to send everybody to, because he's always nice. All right, have a good night, everybody.